Welcome back to the North Tonawanda Football Hall of Fame YouTube channel. I'm Matt Helinski. Glad you could join us here today. Taking a trip down memory lane, down across the bridge over to Tonawanda. This gentleman was a star player for the Red Warriors. Better yet, the Warriors. Better yet, after in the next couple of years, and won't be any Warriors. Played in 1989, a one-man wrecking crew in the TNT game against North Tonawanda. His grandfather was the legendary Mike Susty. Please welcome me in joining Matt Prelewicz from his beautiful man cave, man. That's cool. Got to be what, Amherst that you're living in?
East Amherst.
All right, beautiful. Glad to have you, Matt. How you doing these days?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
I can't help but notice the Fruity Flakes box behind your shoulder there. And I had your brother Mark on, and I was commenting to you. I don't know who has a better man cave, but got to tell you, I think you edged him out. That you're quite the supporter, and you've got quite the memorabilia going on there.
Yeah, you're right. I think Mark's got a nice man cave. I haven't seen it lately, but just from the pictures of it. But yeah, I think I'm going to take credit for mine.
For those people who are not familiar with you, or we want to educate the young, or remind the old of your past exploit, talk about growing up in Tonawanda, where you came from, and how you got involved with sports.
Growing up in Tonawanda was very memorable. It was a great experience. I'm one of 5 kids. I'm the second youngest boy. My younger brother Mark. I got an older brother and 2 older sisters. So there's 5 of us at one time in the house, and we're all Tonawanda graduates, and we're all involved with athletics. So needless to say, we had a pretty busy household, pretty busy upbringing.
How did you get involved in sports? Was it something through Sandlot, or was it through organized leagues, or how did that start out for you guys?
Man, ever since I was little, we had those backyards where there was always something going on in parking lots. We're either playing funny fumbles, where you just throw the Nerf ball around and you just tackle each other, whoever's got the ball, right? I think there's another name for it. I forget, but we call it funny fumbles. My sisters were always involved in sports. So we were always going around to their track meets. They were Buffalo Bells growing up. So we went to track meets, and our sisters through their high school experiences. My brother Mark and I and my older brother, we would always go to the high school to watch basketball games, sneak through the woods and go to Clinton Small Stadium and watch the football games of during the 80s. So, and it was natural for us to get involved with the little leagues right when we could. I think we had to be 8 years old. Right when we're 8 years old, our mom signed us up. Partly because we wanted to play, probably to get us out of the house. I don't know. Probably a little both.
Growing up in Tonawanda, was there anything else besides Tonawanda athletics, or was it the be-all and the end-all? Did you guys really know of anything else with the different high schools at that time?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think, we're living in Tonawanda. They're, it's a smaller town, but when in the community in the high school, I mean, that's what our experiences was through the sports. And I didn't really know of anything, you're right, outside of Tonawanda and the sports and in the town and the city there. So yeah, that was it. We were kind of, sort of, narrow-minded about that. We kind of stayed, and that's how we knew.
Your grandfather was Mike Susty, captain of the North Tonawanda football team back in 1924, nearly 100 years ago. I'm pretty sure you never got to meet your grandfather.
No.
But what did you learn about him, or people would tell you about him, I should say?
Anytime. Well, first, obviously, I wish I would have gotten to meet him, because really every time, whether it be my father, who whenever we asked, tell us about Mike Susty, tell us about him. And bottom line, every time we talked to him or other people, the first things out of their mouth was what a great guy Mike Susty was, and then he was a great athlete to boot. So those are the words I remember. Just what a great guy he was. Everybody knew him, and everybody talked highly of him, fondly of him, using all those words. Just a great guy, super athlete.
What did your mother say about him?
Kind of the same. She obviously wishes that we had got to meet him, and once in a while she'll say, that's from, you got that trait from her dad, Mike, or she'll say things like that. But again, she was an only child, so whenever she could, she'd reference him and talk about him. But again, most of the stuff I've heard, was, like I said, from my dad and some of the other people in North Tonawanda, just what a great guy he is or was.
He was inducted in the 1967 North Tonawanda Football Hall of Fame, the first Hall of Fame, and he withstood the test of time because he played in the 1920s, and 40 years later he was being inducted. Typically, that doesn't happen, or people are forgotten. What does that mean to you and your family, having your grandfather inducted and across the river in North Tonawanda?
I think that time span, like you were saying, that that's something that's really, I think, special because him and his legacy, his personality was obviously never forgotten. And once they kind of established the Hall of Fame, and he was, one of the first ones to go in, is this incredible. It's just a testament to who he was.
I want to talk about your high school career. Take us down the path and where you started playing organized football for Tonawanda School District.
Yeah, we in Gastown, New York, on East Niagara Street there, we had the Tonawanda Football Clinic, and I think that was just a rite of passage that we had some neighbors and friends who all played there. So it was like we couldn't wait to be 8 years old to start playing an organized football down there. So it was a lot of numbers back then. We really had a lot of fun, spent a lot of time there because the younger kids, I think 8, 9, and 10-year-olds were playing Saturday. 11, 12, and 13-year-olds were playing Sunday. So all weekend in the fall, once we were of age, we were down there every weekend. So that's where our football careers began. And they really began in our backyards playing those funny fumbles, but organized, they started there.
Between your brother Mike, him being the oldest brother, and Mark, there's quite an age difference between all three of you. Did you guys always play together, or did Mike go easy on the younger brothers, or how did that work out in your family?
So playing football in the backyard is where we began. It was ironic, and this is the truth. A lot of my friends and neighbors would confirm this, but I think those guys, including my brother, went harder on Mark and myself, just because we were always the kids who wanted to be there and play with them because that's what they were doing. So we wanted to participate, and I think it was one of those things where the bigger brother and the friends were like, okay, if you guys want to play football with us, you're going to have to deal with that. And so I think that's looking back on it, maybe, helped with toughness and some perseverance, things like that. But I think if anything, they went harder on us.
Going over to Clint Small Stadium when you guys were younger, were there any football players that you emulated or were your heroes or guys that you looked up to?
My sister, Shell, was a cheerleader for Tonawanda. So those are some of my first memories of going to Clint Small Stadium. And I do remember, I think the locker room was across the street in the junior high. But I remember those guys, those big, they were like, they could have been pros as far as I'm concerned. When we started going over this, that's what they were to us. That's what they looked like to us. So I just remember standing there at the front gate of Clint Small Stadium, waiting for those guys to get off the bus, and you hear the click of the cleats coming off the bus and onto the pavement, and through our, we lined up and we're trying to get high fives from those guys. We're on the field. Kenny Heyer was a big guy back then. He was a awesome quarterback and someone that was like, wow, this guy's a real deal. Those guys are pretty good to watch. So it was great.
Talk about your maybe freshman football and JV experiences and when you reached the varsity team.
Yeah, growing up in Tonawanda, I was a smaller guy for sure. And I wrestled at lighter weights too. I wrestled in Tonawanda, so I wrestled a lot of lighter weights. So I kind of physically didn't really. I played freshman football, and I was a running back. And I played a lot of guys. I was mentioning we played 11, 12, and 13-year-olds at the clinic. A lot of guys wouldn't do that. They would play their last year as an eighth grader. They try to make the freshman football team, and a lot of them did. I didn't do that. I played, all the time at the football clinic that I could, and then coming in as a ninth grader is when I played freshman football. So I played. Those were the days. I think we only had like 4 or 5, 6 games, maybe like that. But I was running back, and I played. And then the next year, I made the JV team. So I didn't start playing varsity until my junior year.
And that would have been the 1988 season.
88, 89, yeah.
Okay, and so you played the 88 and 89 season. 89 season was your senior year.
89 season was my senior year, yeah.
When you got to varsity, Coach Chris DeMarco was the man for Tonawanda at that point. Talk about what his how he coached and how he got to you guys and the type of teams that you had for that 88 and 89 season.
Man, I remember Coach DeMarco coming in, and the first thing that I thought was, I mean, he was, looking back on it, just what a great communicator he was. He wasn't a yeller and a screamer, and just demanding all this stuff, and just work, run, all that kind of stuff. He was a communicator. He was a teacher. He was an educator, and I really respected that. I really took to that, and he took guys and put them in positions, and he just wasn't going to run an offense to run an offense. He was able to identify what he had on his team and put kids in positions and hopefully a team in a position to succeed. So I remember him as just being a soft-spoken, non-yeller screamer, great communicator. I really respected him a lot.
How big were your squads back then, and what was your team? How successful were your teams?
Yeah, we were typically a 400, or I'm sorry, a 500 team. We go 4-4. We win some, we lose some. We were never undefeated or anything like that. Our squads were big enough. I mean, a lot of the players, probably less than half, but a lot of them would play both ways. I played both ways in high school. I was a running back and an outside linebacker. So I didn't call it the field. I played special teams, but they were big enough. We had a lot of substitutes and a lot of guys who just played offense, a lot of guys who just played defense. But I just had some really fun teams, and I really enjoyed my football experience.
Who were some of the guys you played with during that era?
Played with me. I do well when I was a junior. There were some guys who I played with. Kevin Rowe was a good running back. And actually, we were in a wishbone. We're in a backfield together. So that was always fun. Todd Lesmeister, Stevie Tompkins was our quarterback. Ramsey Belcher was our fullback. We had a great line my senior year that really actually took it to NT. I tell you that they really did their thing with moving people and their strength and quickness. All those guys, Matt Sikora, I mentioned Todd Lesmeister already, wide receiver. Matt Sikora, Jesse Wendell, Scott Sweezy, Henry Giuliano, Billy Babcock. Who else was on that line? Jimmy Barber. But those are the linemen I had. I just there's some. No one was really a superstar, but we all worked together. We were a good team. Jason Miller was on that team too.
When was the turning point for you as a running back? Was it your junior year or senior year, or when did that switch get flipped and you were having some great success?
I think towards the end of my junior year, I started weight training more, just to obviously put some muscle on. So I started weight training more, and I got more comfortable with running the ball against the bigger guys. So towards the end of my junior year, I kind of had a feeling that I really shifted gears, and I really dedicated, want to have a great senior football. So I trained, I weight trained, because I was gearing up for my senior year. So I think the end of my junior year is where I sort of really wanted to focus and do well.
You talked about weight training. What was it like? Was it just a universal gym, or did you guys get into free weights, or did you have racks where you could lift the heavier weights and squat? I mean, what was it like back then?
Yeah, we actually fortunate enough to one of our rooms. I can't remember what it was or what it was previously, but there was a room towards the end of our hallway in our athletic hallway there in Tonawanda that got converted into a weight room. So we had free weights there. We would have weightlifting. Some of the captains in the off season will go there and lift weights and have weightlifting sessions. And there was someone there monitoring it, obviously for safety, but we had a weight room right in school with free weights and dumbbells and things like that. So it was good. You had to take advantage of it, of course. Not everybody did, but I certainly did.
For football, I know you wrestled, but did you also train the other 6 months of the year as well too?
Yeah, usually. I mean, I wouldn't say I was like I trained, I think, appropriately. I trained with weights and cardio, running, trying to get, my thing was speed. I wanted to get quick and fast. So along with the weight training, a lot of speed training and agility training too.
I want to take you to the 1989 TNT game.
Yeah.
Let's see. 4 touchdowns rushing, 233 yards, 1 interception. Your coach, Chris DeMarco, told me on the phone that he throttled you back in the fourth quarter. Was that so you could sell concessions and your off time or what?
That game started out. First of all, it was a great, late October. What a great day! A great night. The weather is great. The venue is great. George Vetter Stadium. I know there's nothing like Clint Small on a Friday night in the fall playing a football game, but just playing against NT and the score and what we did there was just incredible. I think the game started out not good. Like I had a bad feeling. They went right down the field and scored on us, and I was like, "Oh man, here we go. This is how we're going to end our senior year." Just these guys have taken it to us again, and then everything just changed, and everything went perfect. And yeah, by the time the fourth quarter came along, I would never. We played everybody. We played our backups. Everybody got in the game. Everybody had a great experience, and it just turned out the way it did. It was incredible.
You ended up winning that game 27-9. It wasn't always that good for Tonawanda. Before that, Tonawanda had lost the previous 7 games to NT.
Yeah.
1988, you lost the TNT game 17-6. Not a bad score. What impressed you about those TNT games?
Again, growing up with older sisters and brothers, I got to experience them not being on the football team, but just as a fan, and being part of the community, and just the pageantry that there's something that happens every week, whether it be a parade. I know there's a car parade on the day of the game. We have hall decorations that we decorate the halls all week long, and it's just a tremendous week full of spirit. I think it's competitive spirit. We had a luncheon. We have a luncheon with the other team, the North Tonawanda football players. Everybody gets a chance to at least meet each other and say hi before the game, and and more of a calm setting. So just that whole week in general was just a great spirit week of school that I'll never forget.
Talking to players that had played in that game prior to you, a lot of them got revved up for the game big time, and a lot of them didn't like their opponents.
Yeah.
Did that hold true with your team as well too?
I think it did. I think in my generation and my teams, I think it was a healthy respect for a lot of the guys. I knew them, we've seen each other over the summer, whether it be playing in summer softball leagues or just around town at nighttime. I don't know, just around. So you see those guys. So it's kind of a healthy respect. And the fact that those guys are always or traditionally usually just a better team than us. They play in the bigger division. They had more numbers. They were always well coached. So, like I said, they beat us the 6 previous years. So we could be 4-4 or 4-3 or 3-4 as our record, but our season is based on NT. So if we beat them, that was something that made our season.
Big school versus small school. Quite the rivalry with over 100 years of playing one another. There's always talk about trying to even the playing field. Should that rivalry continue?
Yeah, I think so. Big school, small school, I think, especially in high school, everything goes in cycles. There might be years when our numbers are up or in Tonawanda and our numbers are down, and likewise in North Tonawanda. They're always going to be bigger just geographically they are. But as we see all across the sports landscapes, smaller teams and Cinderella teams are always upsetting and beating teams. So there's no reason why the rivalry shouldn't continue. It's been going on for 100 years.
The school name Warriors nickname, it's going to have to be retired. What's your feeling on that?
I actually heard recently about that, and I know some other schools were changing things. I tell you what I think is, I look at it from the positive and what the school's nicknames are intended to symbolize it and represent. I think Warriors represents, being a competitor and competing, and toughness and battling and things like that. I think we're taking the good thing from what Warriors is and what that means for what I think it symbolizes. So as far as changing them and things like that, I think we just need to look at the positive part of what it's intended to and what's intended to represent. And that's kind of how I feel about it.
When it does have to get changed, how sad are you going to be about that?
I'll be sad for sure. I'll be sad for sure because it's Tonawanda Warriors. That's what it's always been. Our school, our pride fight song, not the school song, but our pride fight song that, sometimes we would sing if we won the NT game or something, had Tonawanda Wood Warriors, keep on fighting, that kind of stuff. So I'll be sad because I don't know what it's going to be. I haven't heard anything about what they're considering, but it'll be, it'll definitely be close a chapter on that. So that'll be sad.
When you guys beat NT in the 1989 TNT game, did they roll out the red carpet down Main Street in Tonawanda for you guys, or what?
That would have been nice. No, they didn't. It tell you what, it gives you a little recognition though, because I think Tonawanda is a traditional place, and some of the other old timers you'd see, whether it be at the Elders Club or just again around town, and they give you a pat on the back and say, "Way to go!" So that's always really nice to hear and see, and how happy those guys are too.
Your coach Chris DeMarco, in a conversation with him earlier this week, he told me that you were the best running back he ever coached. What do you say about that?
Wow. There's a lot of good running backs, and man, I tell you what, like I was telling you, he really believed in me, and I think I put the work into it, and he believed in me, and he gave me the opportunity. So for him to say that, that's incredible, and I did my best for him. I'll tell you that. He was one of the better coaches I had as well. So that's great. Thanks.
All three of you brothers did play for him. Your brother Mike played his senior year, or tried to play his senior year. He was hurt his senior year early on, and was able to play a couple plays towards the end of the season. And then Mark came in towards the end of DeMarco's career as well too. Did you guys ever compare notes on how Coach DeMarco was, if he was in a good mood, bad mood, or how things were going, or what to look for, or did you coach each other on what to expect?
No, you know why? Because Mark and I were actually involved. We were ball boys when my brother played, so we were around Coach DeMarco when he first came in initially. So we kind of had the heads up on him. I think when he first came in, it's you try to put your footprint and your stamp on a program, and Mark and I got to see that firsthand about his approach and how we coached and things like that. So yeah, we were right front and center as ball boys with that football team. So we got to see him. We didn't have to compare notes because we were there already.
Of the three brothers, who's the best athlete?
Oh gosh, that's putting me on the spot, huh?
Yeah, I am.
I got a sister who's a pretty good athlete. She might be the best.
Well, I was going to bring them into it, but
so out of the boys,
okay, of the five, who's the best athlete?
I think pure natural athlete was probably my sister Missy. High jumper, track, diver. She could have did whatever she wanted to do. So she was a pretty natural athlete. As far as the boys go, I always get, when someone asks me that, I get in that. I think about like my brothers, both of them. My brother Mike's probably the bigger of the three. He was a fullback. He was a bruiser. He was a tough guy. He wrestled a heavier weight on a wrestling team. And so I was on the opposite end of that. I was quick, fast, smaller, that kind of thing. And Mark was kind of somewhere in the middle as far as size and what he could do. So, we're all good in our own way for sure. It depends on what you think what an athlete is, I guess.
You're wearing the UB hat, and there's a reason for it, because you played college football at UB. What was your recruiting process like?
My recruiting process. So UB, well, initially coming out of Tonawanda, I initially was going to go to Boston University. I had offer out of Boston University. Unfortunately, that summer, their coach got hired away to the NFL, I think. I can't remember what his situation was. He ended up leaving. So basically, we were kind of lame recruits because the new coach was bringing in, their own kids from their own program. So I didn't end up going to BU, and Southern Connecticut State came in late, and I was sort of in limbo a little bit. So I signed with them. So I ended up heading out to Southern Connecticut in 1990, that fall of 1990. And it was unfortunate because I really didn't have many options after the Boston University thing fell through. So I signed with Southern Connecticut. And when I first got there, I knew immediately it wasn't going to be good for me, good fit. So sooner than later, I got out of that. And unfortunately, Coach Sam Sanders took me, and I came to UB.
Did you have to sit out a year?
I did not.
No.
No, I didn't. I didn't. There's no games didn't start yet. It was only spring or fall. practice.
What was your experience like college football at the UB?
Again, I was very fortunate to end up there because in 1991, UB started their road to Division I AA. So we were on the stepping stones of helping that program grow to reach that level. So when I got in there as a freshman, we played in that old UB stadium on the North campus there. And then by the time I got to be a senior, is when I started. I was a starting running back, and I also returned punts and kicks. But that was the first year that the current stadium opened. So I was part of the starting team that opened up that new stadium. So that was pretty cool.
You ended one era and started another era.
That's right. Yeah.
College football is a job in and of itself, isn't it?
Say it again.
College football is a job in and of itself, isn't it?
College football is a job and it's from itself. And as my college career went on, I started really realizing that because we went from Division III to Division I AA, and the preparation, how serious they are about it. You certainly got to be on your your studies with things and time management, more than anything. But it was an all day long, as all college sports are. You practice, you go to sleep, you eat, you go to school, and you do it all over again. So it is a job. It is tough. Yeah, it is a job.
And you had training 12 months a year, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, but then you had training all 12 months a year, and they could tell that's when you couldn't just show up in some camp in the fall and think you're going to get in shape, because they already knew you weren't in shape, and that put you behind the 8 ball. So you did have to train. Yes.
How tough is it, your college experience as opposed to your high school experience?
High school experience, I mean, they're all fun. They're fun in their different ways. High school is just fun because you were in high school, and that's what you remember growing up watching, and you couldn't wait to get to high school to be part of the Tonawanda football program. So it was just a really fun experience, and college is fun too, but they take it a lot more serious in terms of, like you said, winning's a big deal. Growing a program, you're trying to recruit, so you're good showing different things, and it was just more serious and more businesslike.
The hitting was a lot harder as well too in college, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah, you got to be careful. You always had to have your head on a swivel, or else you're gonna get it. Someone's gonna get you.
How many concussions have you had, or you want to admit to?
I'll be honest, I don't remember having. I probably had for sure. Yeah, you see those stars and those, once in a while you see that kind of stuff, but I don't remember every concussion protocol and all that stuff was in its infancy. So we didn't really have anybody looking at us and making us sit out. If we could see the fingers that they're holding up and we got that right, we were back in the game.
What type of injuries did you have in high school and in college? Anything serious?
Yeah, well, not serious, any injury is serious, but high school, I was fortunate enough to never have any injury. I don't think I missed any games, whether it be football, wrestling. I don't think I missed anything, practices. I don't know if it was luck or whatever, but again, you get to college and you got some big boys running around out there. And I remember vividly, actually, I actually sprained my knee, my MCL, in one of my knees. And then I actually, towards the end of my senior year, I'm sorry, it was early in my senior year, I actually broke my lower leg. But that was only a 2 months injury, and I actually came back towards the end of the season. So, so I had a broken leg and a sprained MCL in college. But so serious, but not career ending.
We've talked about several things so far. What would you like to talk about that I haven't brought up?
This is, I don't know if it's unique to Tonawanda or not. You'd probably know. We're talking to a lot of people, but so the Tonawanda experience, whether it be football or growing up there, is incredible because there's about a group of 20 of us, and some of us are in the same class, but we span from 1983 to 93. I think my brother Mark's the youngest one, but everybody in between, there's 20 of us that we go golfing every year. And we've been doing this for over 25 years. So I think growing up in Tonawanda is a product of that. I think people are close knit, and whether it be, again, I have a couple great friends of mine from Tonawanda that are 3 years older than me, who I was a freshman and they were seniors maybe, and today we're good friends today, and we all go golfing together in all different, all the different classes. So I think that's really something special. So that's something that I think is unique. I don't know if it is or not, but it's really something special that we all enjoy. We look forward to it every year.
I'm going to put you on the spot. It's time to name drop. Because if you don't, you're going to be getting the hate text that you didn't mention them.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh gosh, I didn't write any notes down. Me and our golf crew between actually one of my good friends, Brian Carey, he played football for Tonawanda. Brian Carey, football wrestler. Mark Strano, Danny Summers, he's a Tonawanda Wall of Famer. Steve Hartman, Steve Fox, Mike Bradman, Dougie Palmer. All those guys are golfing buddies. Steve Patrick, Steve Jensen. Sorry if I forgot people, but yeah, it's a pretty neat, pretty unique, I think, too. And I'll think of some. If I do, I'll shout it out. But
in 2008, you went into the Tonawanda City School District Wall of Fame. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot, because it really hits you if you ever go back there and you realize that your picture's on the wall still. It just wasn't one night of celebrating and congratulations and off you go. Your picture's up there on the wall. So when you walk through the hallway and you see some of the great Hall of Famers and Wall of Famers, some of the old time guys and girls, it really hits you, and it's pretty neat. I never would have thought that. Obviously, all I did in high school is want to do my best and help my team win and do good for myself. So to come away with that, a Wall of Fame induction is really, really something special. Yes.
When you guys get together, your teammates, are the stories better? And were you a better team and had a better record and you woulda, shoulda, and coulda?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The stories get better. They get more embellished. They get funnier. They get funnier. They get better. There's always another person that gets brought into the story, and everybody laughs. The teams, their team was better than ours. Our team was better than theirs. If we did this, the NT was down. That's why you guys won, right? So they had all the players were bigger and better, years ago. So of course they do, and they're all awesome to listen to, and they're all good stories.
You're out of town. You're on vacation. You meet some people. You got talking about your high school experience and your high school football years. What do you tell people about your Tonawanda years?
I tell them that. I tell them just what a great experience and what a fun time it was. And the guys who I played with, I mentioned a couple of them, some of those linemen I mentioned earlier, I see them today still. And now we all have kids. And, sometimes our kids are playing on the same baseball or softball teams. And we talk about those things and memories. And I would tell other people on vacation, say, man, what just a great time it was, because it was something that you always remember, and all the people you remember. I know the name. I remember the North Tonawanda guys. If I saw them today, we would hang out, probably say hi to each other and see how everybody's doing. So it's just that really special, I think, community bonding between not just Tonawanda but North Tonawanda too is what I would tell them.
Regarding your high school and your college career, would you do anything differently?
Things happen for reasons. And if you try to do something or say you want to do something different, then something else inevitably is not going to happen or go well for you. So my answer to that is no. Do I wish I didn't get hurt maybe my senior year? Yeah. But again, things happen for reasons. And I don't know, something else might have happened that didn't make me and get to me where I am today. So an easy answer to that is no, I wouldn't.
When people talk about great Tonawanda running backs and they say Matt Prelewicz, what do you think people say about you?
Sometimes people can't believe it because, when you say running back, I'll still get it today. You played running back? You played running back in college? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I'm, 5'8", 180 pounds when I played. But they really, you played running back. So that it was always a source of motivation for me. So the little running backs out there in the NFL and college are the ones I root for, because they can either run over you, run around you, run away from you, or all the above. So that's what I'll tell them. That's some people can't believe it, but that was what always motivated me a little bit.
Matt Prelewicz, this has been a lot of fun. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Love the man cave. Look at that, horns up. The UB, the Flutie Flakes. You're going to give your brother Mark a run for the man cave. Do you know that?
Yeah.
How about your brother Mike? Has he got a man cave like you guys, or what?
He's got a man cave, but Ed, I'm telling you, I think I definitely got to meet on that. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Matt, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Be well. Take care. Thanks for the trip down memory lane.
Ed, thanks for contacting me. It was I really appreciate it. I loved it. That was great. Thank you.